Welcome back. So this video, I'm gonna recap a little bit on the Euro USD long that I did. I took entry during the Tokyo session, which is the Asian session, right around like 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So let's go back to the higher time frame. Obviously, for higher time frame, we are still bearish. But if we are going to do day trading, session trading, we're not going to go with like the full range, right? So we're just going to focus on the recent range that we want to focus on. So on the H4, we actually had a little boss over here, which is the brick of structure over here. Obviously, it's making a higher low and higher high. If I zoom down to H1, you can see much clearer. So it's a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high again. So we are currently playing this range over here. So what I'm going to do is go into M15 and and um, find out the time zone that I want to trade at. So um, 7 o'clock is the start of the Asian session, right? So we are trying to not take any trade before 7. Usually the liquidation will happen somewhere around like 6 7, but I'm probably going to skip it until like 8:30 to 9 for an entry. That will give us a much clearer projection. So we have seen a rate to the low, no closure, no closure. So this means that this low here is still a higher low, and I'm gonna mark out this. So internally, we can see that it's pulling back from the high. We made a lower low, but the key here is that we have seen some kind of a reversal over here, which is aligning with the higher time frame on H4. So what we're gonna see here is that we see a break here, which is M15 break, and we see another break to the upside. So coming to the session here at 7 o'clock, we are not going to play the full range H4 because there's no, to my perspective, I don't like to do that because if we are just trading that session itself, or maybe from Asian to London session, close out the liquidity, usually the full range will only be played when all the time frames align. But for now, I don't have any H1. It's all based on the H4 and double break of the M15. So what I'm going to do is that we're just going to play this range here, which is the M15. I don't have the M15 here, but I'm going to play the hourly. Right. Let me zoom down to here, and I'm going to. Okay. So usually what I do is to mark out the IC. In this case is this IC, or you can use the large push down. Um, Technically it should be the large push down. It's just that there's no more imbalance in between this small little gap here, and this is the last down candle before the push up to the upside and break the previous high. So for this case, I'm going to use this one. So please don't get confused. If you don't understand, please drop any question in the comment here. So usually what I do, I will take the second brick of structure as a false alarm, because the second brick is usually what I think is a scam pump or scam dump, because that brick itself will usually be liquidated. So I'm gonna mark out this sell side liquidity. And obviously, when you try to use an OTE, the OTE works on all sessions. So basically, you can just mark out, and you can see that this week over here is basically. Let me hide this out. Sorry. OTE over here for you to see. So you can see that this sell side liquidity is right in the zone of the OTE as well as the IC. So this gives me a double confluence that we are looking at this rate, this POI as a demand, right? So let me play out a few more candle here. And right around like 9, after the double boss, double brick structure, price came back down very harsh. So this is like an inducement to people to short. So they think that, oh, we have brick of structure over here, we can see that there's a break here, but we'll wait, because and right around at this timing, price liquidated this low without a closure. So this typically on this one, this low here is still holding, this higher still holding. Unless this is broken with a displacement, we will not consider any long anymore. But this is only a liquidation. So let me zoom down to M5. You see a lot of wicks at the downside here. So if I'm using M15 as a higher time frame for the trade, I'm gonna go with maybe M5 or M2 for an entry. So at this point of time, I'm still trusting my plan to actually go for long. I'm not gonna go for any short, even though we see a break of structure over here. So a lot of people will place the short, right? Place a short, stop loss here, and take it down to the downside. But I'm not gonna do that for now, because we need to focus on the time and the price action formed during the session itself. So we are looking for long during this whole session here. We should be happy that the price coming back down to the POI that we want, and look for the same buyers. So at this point of time, you can wait for M5. I personally took the M2 entry. So I had this one here, and M15 I see, and I'm gonna mark out this one with the range here, which is the M2 IC, just because that on a lower time frame, which is the M2, we see a boss to the upside. You can use the whole range here as a low, but typically for myself, I it's really up to you. Like, I've tried multiple times using this as stop loss or using this as stop loss. Usually, when this is broken, this will be broken as well. So there's no point for me actually to put the stop loss right at this range. So I'm gonna stick with this, right? So for me, I did actually took a long, I think somewhere here. I think I'm gonna show you the execution screenshot later. So Let me play out the candle. So you can see that the price came back down to here, still holding, still holding. I actually had a thought to cut it out because it's kind of range and it's going into 10 o'clock at night, as I mentioned before in my earlier videos. Price usually tend to go to the low hanging fruit before 10 o'clock at night Eastern time. But for this case wise, I decided to actually stick to my plan. I did look at the USD JPY as well, but for that one, the confluence was short, so I took that as a counter reference to see that this long still happening. So let me play out a few more candle here. It's almost going to stop me out. It didn't. So what I see at this point in time, what I see here is that it had a liquidation to the downside. So it's like a low time frame liquidation. And if I go to M2, it had another break. So price tell me that this will likely come back to here. Sorry, here if price is gonna break this with displacement, I'll be more confidence that this price is coming back to the range high. Okay, so let's see. So weak, and there you go. So if we go to the M5, this is the break. This is the break. So on a higher time frame M15, come back to the discount zone POI, and we have a lower time frame M5 break to the upside. So everything now is aligned. So don't be afraid of the breakdown to the imbalance or any FVG. So let it play out. Stick to the plan. A lot of breakdown to the low again, but see a lot of wick here taking out. If I go back to the M2, you can see that price taking out all this low, and still taking out, right? So eventually we need to move this to here. So at this point of time, we can say that this is the new low and new high. Usually after the liquidation, that will be the new low again. So I was asleep at this point of time. So for you guys that is trading at this time, you can typically move the stop loss up to here to minimize your loss if you come back down. If not, stick to the plan again. Let it play out. And for now, we have another break here, so all this will be cleared. And note that this is coming into the London Q zone, London session. So for every single session, the Tokyo session, the New York session, and London session, you have to bear in mind that the liquidation will happen before the session or maybe during the session start. So to them, during this London session, this is the liquidity on higher time frame. This will be taken out. So you have to stick to that to be taken out. So usually, if your trade had an entry during the Asian session and it went into London session, it didn't hit your draw of liquidity, which is your TP level, it usually will be reversal. So don't try to overstay in your trade if you're not doing a higher time frame analysis. So right around like what 2 o'clock, that's where the Lzh session happened and the liquidation happened as well. So this sum up the trade that I took is 3.5, I think 3R, most probably because of the stop loss, the spread itself. So I did widen a little bit on the stop loss. I think somewhere around here. I didn't mean to put my stop loss over here at this low, but because of the spread, it's about 5 or 0.6 pips. So I'm moving a little bit lower. Um, but I'm happy with the 3R. If you're risking about 500 bucks on 100,000 account, that will give you about 1,500 in profit. So 3R is still good risk to reward. Nothing to complain about. It's on Monday. A lot of people saying that we don't like the Monday trading, but I personally really prefer to trade on Monday because the draw of liquidity is usually very clear because um, we don't have to focus again. I have to emphasize this because we don't have to focus on the higher time frame range. We just have to focus on the low hanging fruit, which is the low time frame internal range within the higher time frame range. Bear in mind with that. And we can also play out a few more candles to see what happened after this. Price took out the high, come back down, and immediately come back to the take out all the lows that we have formed during the Asia session. So a lot of people say that we play this accumulation and manipulation during the session just to take out the liquidity plus a distribution. So it's like power of three. But I don't usually use power of three in my theory. I stick to the market structure that I see using the higher low, higher high, lower low, and lower high very recently. So that helps me to mark out the range very easily. If there's any questions, please drop in the comment and give me a subscribe and like to the video. Before I end the recording, this is the trade that I took. So you can see that it's somewhere around here. I think I took an entry. Yeah. So and that will be a quick recap. If there's any question, please feel free to ask. If not, we'll see you in the next call.